Welcome back to Man Down Sports, man. Me and Zoe, we're gonna redraft the 2009 NBA draft. Just a lottery though. It's the first
Just a
time
lot.
we've done this. Yeah, this is the first time we've done this, man. So I'm kind of anxious to see how we're gonna do it. Zoe got the first pick, and I'll take the second pick, and then we'll just go back and forth like that. And we'll try to do it where it makes sense. I'm not just gonna take the best prospect because we got hindsight right now. I'm just not gonna take the guy that I know is the better player, but I'm gonna try to at least fit it to the, like I'm building a team, right? So that's how I'm gonna do it. I don't know how Zoe gonna do it. Zoe might be a
I'm
different
gonna take that
GM.
approach at least a little bit, but it just so happens. Oh, we'll get into it in a minute.
Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the 2009 draft, that's the draft that had Blake Griffin going number one, and then the Minnesota Timberwolves having two picks in the lottery, and they took 2 point guards not named Steph Curry. They took Johnny Flynn that year and Ricky Rubio ahead of Steph Curry, right? As a matter of fact, let me put it on the screen real quick. That's the lottery. We're gonna do the first 14 picks. That's the order it went in. Clippers taking Blake Griffin number one. That's not a bad pick, right? Nobody knew how great Steph was gonna be. But Hasheem Thabeet, that's
tough.
That's real tough,
man. But
yeah, that's real tough.
Okay, we'll get into it once we get to that number 2 pick. But yeah, man, that's tough. Especially hindsight, looking at all the other names, Hasheem Thabeet sticks out, man.
Yeah, I know they wish they had that one back. And I don't know what's worse, that one, the Darko Miller shit. We might have to do that one next.
We might have to. We might have to do that one next. That one was bad. That one was bad.
All right, man. So without further ado, man, Zoe, you are on the clock with the LA Clippers.
LA Clippers. Okay, so before I make the most obvious pick of this draft right here.
Is it obvious though?
It's obvious. The reason why, because I'm looking at the roster. Okay, I'm gonna name some notables on the roster. I'm not gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go through. They got Eric Gordon still there. I don't know if y'all remember Al Thornton, Florida State.
I love Al Thornton, man.
Me too. BD's there, but he's 29. Baron Davis is there. He's 29 years old. A 34-year-old Marcus Camby is there. So I get the Blake Griffin pick because I'm looking at them as far as power forwards go, and this roster is,
Was Chris Kaman still there?
Chris Kaman was not. Yes, he was. He was there. Chris Kaman is there.
He didn't stay healthy though. Who?
DeAndre Jordan is there. A young DeAndre Jordan is there. How old is he? He's 20 at the time. Let's see who else got some stain. Coutinho Mobley is still there. He's 33. This is an older roster. They got Coutinho Mobley, Marcus Camby, Baron Davis is 29. Fred Jones from the Pacers is there. Ricky Davis is there.
What?
Ricky Davis is there in 2008, 2009 season.
My dog.
Zebo's there, 39.
Oh, that's an old Zebo.
This is an old roster. This is an older roster.
So what did they end up? So they took Blake. What did they end up doing that first year when? I mean, I know Blake had a lot of highlights.
Let me look and see. Yeah, Blake. Blake. Let's look at this 20 because 2009, 2010. That's when Blake was on the roster, and the roster is completely, honestly,
it was different after they drafted him.
Man. Completely. I mean, you can still got some of the names, but Steve Blake is there after that.
Okay.
Let's see.
Did they get Steve Blake in the trade? Because I know he was in Portland at one point, and it had
to be a trade.
Yeah, and I think Portland ended up in Portland at one point because I think Portland had a lineup that I really liked when they had Greg Oden, Brandon Roy, and I want to say they had Outlaw. Remember the Travis Outlaw, long defender, and I want to say they had Thornton as well, if I'm not mistaken. Portland had a squad.
Portland had a good haul, but you know what's crazy? Even after, they did, and even after that roster, after the roster I just named, they still were old. I mean, even with the Blake Griffin year, keep in mind he didn't play his first year. Remember?
Oh yeah, he did. In the summer league,
so
he messed his knee up.
And they kept him out the whole year. So it was a lot of the same. Steve Blake was there, but guess who was still there? Marcus Camby, Baron Davis, Ricky Davis, Drew Gooden was there. It was still a roster that was up there as far as age goes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many. Let me look and see how many minutes these guys were playing at that time. Baron Davis was started 73 out of the 75 games. 73 out of 75 games he played, he was the starter, and he was 30.
It ain't bad.
It makes sense. It's not bad because BD is still a commodity, but he's 30. Yeah. So it makes sense to draft the greatest.
If I'm them, they thinking, all right, we got Baron Davis, man. That's a good point guard. That's all-star caliber point guard. We don't know what we got in Steph. Let's go ahead and get this big guy that we know go translate. And they grab Blake Griffin. So
that's what I get it. It's really, you know what?
What do you go do?
Smart. I'm taking Steph. I'm absolutely positively taking Steph Curry because Baron Davis. Let me tell you why though. It's not just because Steph is the greatest shooter on the planet. It was partly because Steph Curry is the greatest shooter on the planet. Right. I look at this roster and I say, okay. And it's partial. They still looking at a roster with DeAndre Jordan, who's 21 now. Baron Davis is 30. Rasul Butler is 30. Ricky Davis is 30. All of these guys, if they're not contending at this time, then we're looking at these guys and we're saying, okay, what do we see in the future? And I say Baron Davis is not in our long-term future, but obviously he's still, let me see what he averaged. Let me see what his numbers was looking like this year. BD was, he was playing a lot. He was playing 33 minutes a game. BD was averaging 15 and 8. So you honestly, to be real, BD was averaging 15 and 8 that year.
And he can go for 30 when he wanted to.
He at any given time. The leading scorer on that team at that time was still Chris Kaman, who, let me see how many games. He played 76 games that year. So that's good for Chris Kaman. That was a great year for Chris Kaman, which I guess they looked at. I'm trying to see. Just one of those. I mean, Blake Griffin had a great college career, and he was, box office, like he was talking about. He put butts in seats. So I get it, but I cannot not take Steph Curry out of this draft, and even look to move to see what kind of assets I can get for Baron Davis at this time, or just have him sit a couple of years behind BD, because at the end of the day, he was playing with Monte Ellis, what I'm saying, for a little while, just until he got into his groove, and then Mark Jackson came and they started to see what he could be. I'm definitely, I gotta take Steph. And I got to look at the potential of a Steph and DeAndre Jordan growing together. Eric Gordon's on this team too, at the 2, but he's only 21 at the time. So, you know what I'm saying? He's not getting a ton of minutes, but he is getting a ton of minutes. He averaged, and that could have changed Eric Gordon's future.
It would have. You remember when me and you used to go crazy over Eric Gordon and Derrick Rose because they both was from Chicago around the same time Jordan kids was playing in Chicago, and Eric Gordon and Derrick Rose. I've never seen any high school highlights like this. I thought that was the best player.
They were calling him Air Gordon.
Yes.
They were calling this man Air Gordon, bro. And I don't need to say much more than that, because if you even get a nickname like that, then you got to be doing something special. And the difference between him and Derrick Rose was Eric Gordon had that ratchet already in high school. Already. He was a trigger man. He averaged, this would have changed the trajectory. He was averaging 17 that year at 21 years old.
Yeah, so I mean, imagine him being a Splash Brother partner with Steph Curry instead of
it would have worked.
It'll be a little bit different. Yeah,
it'll be different, because Eric could get his shot anyway, but he already had a jump shot coming in. So I'm gonna go with Steph, him and Eric Gordon and DeAndre Jordan being the core of that young team. Try to maybe move some of them them older parts, see some assets. You know what I'm saying? Build the team around those guys and see what it turned into. So what are you doing at number 2? You going with the beat? I know you're going with the beat.
My pick is obvious as well.
Mm-hmm.
So with this roster that Memphis got, they already got Mike Conley at point guard. I didn't really see Mike Conley getting as good as he got in the pros, man. But I'm cool to stick with him. They had Marc Gasol, right? They didn't have Zebo yet, I don't think. But they had Rudy Gay as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Rudy Gay, in my mind, before his Achilles injury, Rudy Gay was like on a level where he could have been what Paul George turned out to be.
I agree. Yeah. I thought he was going to be that. I
mean, it looked like he was that for a while. I mean, and he was another guy that came in already with a jump shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that for a guy that's 6'9" and athletic and all that stuff, man. But the Achilles really set him back, which also makes it, fantastic how Kevin Durant was able to come back and still be effective with his Achilles.
He doesn't get enough credit for that. He does not get enough credit for that.
Yeah, facts.
Achilles is the career ender.
Facts. So I'm excited about having a Mike Conley, OJ Mayo at the 2, Rudy Gay at the 3, Blake Griffin at the 4, and Marc Gasol at the 5.
Nah, that's a lineup.
Yeah, so I'm taking. That's a lineup. I'm definitely taking Blake Griffin at number 2 since you took Steph at number 1. That's an easy pick for me. Sorry, Hashim Thabit, but
he might not even be in this top 14, bro.
Yeah, but so let me ask you this though. Blake Griffin was a high flyer, highlight reel. He's gonna sell some tickets and all that stuff. How tempted would you be at number 2 to take James Harden instead of Blake Griffin?
Let me look at it. It all depends on where OJ Mayo was, because I think we all thought, especially coming out of high school, that OJ Mayo was gonna be that, and he had everything. He had everything as far as skill wise. So I'd be tempted to look at James Harden because I saw what everybody else saw. Well, I saw what Oklahoma City saw when they drafted him. I saw a guy. I saw a guy that was 6'5" with a already NBA body, so I knew he could take the punishment and could score a lot of different ways. I saw that. But with that lineup you just named, with Conley, Mayo, Gay, Griffin, and Gasol, I didn't even think. As I knew who you were going to pick, but I didn't think about that lineup together then. You know what I'm saying? A healthy Blake Griffin with that lineup, Memphis makes some noise.
But they young. Do they even get an opportunity to stay together long enough to make noise though? Because I've seen a lot of good teams bring in some young players. I'm like I said, that Blazer team was almost ready. It was just the fact that the Lakers was in the way, and I think the Rockets and Yao Ming was kind of in the way. But they had Rudy Fernandez coming off the bench.
Absolute bucket.
Man, Rudy Fernandez was on Ginobili level. They had Rudy Fernandez. They had Brandon Roy.
Did you watch I know this is a stupid question. You watched the Redeem Team, right? The documentary.
Yes.
When Rudy was just going stupid and like people don't realize how good Rudy Fernandez was for the Blazers.
Yeah,
for the Blazers.
And he didn't leave the league because he couldn't handle it. He left the league because they kept treating foreign players like they couldn't play. Like it's a lot of people. Carlos Herrera, Rudy Fernandez, a lot of guys that was really good from overseas. but they just didn't give them an opportunity. They ain't giving them no chance like they should have. So he got tired of riding the bench, man, and he just left.
Yeah.
Like
he ain't wanna like I'm getting buckets. I want to go somewhere where I can, have a chance to start. I get it.
Yeah. So he left, dude. But but imagine that Portland had him on the bench behind Brandon Roy, Travis Outlaw, and all those, and then they had Greg Oden, and he was doing his thing. They had LaMarcus Aldridge. So that's another team that was like real young, but just didn't get a chance to stay together long enough, and it was just crazy, bro. It's some names at the bottom of this, like serious. Like this draft had some players in it, man. Like, I'm all the way at the bottom, man. You remember AJ Abrams from Texas?
Of course, I remember AJ Abrams. He was in this draft.
Yeah, he was in this draft. Wes Matthews was in this draft. Jeremy Pargo. Do It All Paul. Do you remember him? They called him Do It All Paul. He was a 6'3" power forward for Syracuse. Paul Harris. They called him
Harris. He had the braids with the headband.
Yeah, he didn't have no position. He don't have no position. I remember him, man. Like, it's a lot of people in here. Damari Carroll, Taj Gibson, Danny Green. Yo, this is crazy, man. This is gonna be fun. All right, let's get back to it. So so you on the clock with number 3 drafting for the OKC Thunder.
Now this is tough. This is tough for me. As good as James Harden was, this is tough because what I'm looking at is James Harden, 2 guard, and what he became it's always going to be fresh in my mind. But there's another guard in the lottery that also became super duper solid for the Toronto Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where, like, judging on the tracks of career, I would say that Harden is the bigger, but DeMar DeRozan has been very good for a very long time. And this shows that because he was in the 2009 NBA draft. And he's still, this draft is crazy.
This is going to sound like a hot take, but I think DeMar DeRozan is better than Harden. I'm not
mad at that. I don't like that it sounds like a hot take.
Yeah. But
I get why it does, but I don't like that it sounds like a hot take because of the fact that I think it kind of dims down what DeMar DeRozan was able to do for so many years in Toronto. Then he went to the Spurs for a couple of years, and his production really never changed. He was the same dude. Same dude. So with that being said,
Before you say DeRozan, don't hesitate, because I'm with you on this, right?
Okay.
Because this is what I'm thinking. Harden's defense, I don't know if it was because of his defense, but some way, somehow his fit wasn't right to be in a starting lineup for OKC.
Especially with the guys that they already had. So they end up, if I remember correctly, starting Cephalosha at the 2 for his defense, right? Because we needed somebody to play defense, right? So they had Westbrook, Cephalosha, Durant, Jeff Green, and they probably, I don't know who their starting center was. Maybe let me look real quick. I don't remember, but it really at that point it didn't matter because they already had the guys that they needed.
Yeah, they probably started Nick Collison a couple of times at center. They probably had Reggie Evans one year.
Was Serge already there?
No, Serge got there after. Serge got there after Harden, I think.
Yeah, because this was he had to have
because they got rid of Jeff Green. Jeff Green was the first one to go. That was their first mistake. They let Jeff Green go.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, Jeff Green was playing power forward, and he's always been able to guard.
I see who was there.
Who?
It was Nenad Kristic, Johan Petro.
Yep.
Chris Wilcox was still down there at center. Yep. Off the bench they had Joe Smith. Robert Swift. Wow, that's a name I ain't heard in a minute.
I remember him.
Me too.
Yeah, he can't get off the bench really.
He couldn't get off the bench. Collison was there though. Collison was there. So I know he played some of those minutes, and he was 28, so he was up there in age, so he played some of those minutes. But yeah, I mean, they already had Russ, they had Jeff Green, they had Cephalosha, they had Desmond Mason. That was the guy who was it. So I'm gonna go. You just solidified my thought process in anyway with going DeRozan over Harden at OKC, because like you said, as good as Harden was offensively, he was always looked at as, okay, we need a guy that's going to lock down, especially with Durant on the court and Westbrook, who are going to be ball dominant. And Harden needs the ball in his hands to be as effective as he needs to be. DeRozan is a guy, always been a mid-range shooter, always been an elite level athlete. I think he could have fit into that role better.
It would have fit perfect, and he would have been able to start, and you would have been able to get the offense you got from Harden, but at the same time you would have been able to get the defense that Cephalosha was giving you, and Cephalosha could have been your guy coming off the bench.
Coming off the bench with that type of and Cephalosha's defense was no slouch.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is. He was in the league because he could guard.
Facts, man. So yeah, I think that's a good pick, and this is interesting too, because there was an article that came out some years ago, and I've never had anybody that was able to confirm this. I can't wait for somebody actually come out and try to confirm it. Somebody got to ask the right question, but you do know there was a trade on the table, heads up, with Dan, because Danny Ainge and Rondo had issues, and Rondo had issues with Ray Allen, Rondo had issues with Doc Rivers. So at some point, they was going to do a straight up heads up trade, Westbrook for Rondo. And I'm thinking, oh man, it would have been perfect. Kevin Durant would have never left, right? So imagine if, let's say, they did just take Harden, and this Harden, Westbrook, Kevin Durant, Jeff Green, and they was able to get Rondo there with James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Jeff Green. I think that fit better than what Westbrook, but they would have fit even way better if y'all got DeRozan and instead of Harden, and then y'all end up trading Westbrook for Rondo.
Rondo DeRozan backcourt would strap up everything, and they'll be able to score, because Rondo don't need the ball in his hand. I mean, he needs the ball in his hand, but not to score. He needs it to facilitate, and he's going to guard on the other end. Yeah, that would have been crazy. Oh man, yeah, that would have been crazy. Only if.
All right, so you taking DeMar DeRozan, number 3, OKC Thunder, and I'm on the clock with the Sacramento Kings.
Yep.
Let's see who Sacramento took. Sacramento took Tyreke Evans, who wasn't bad. I mean, he was a standout freshman playing for Calipari, and what school was that Derrick Rose went? Was it Memphis?
Memphis.
He balled out, and then he came in and won Rookie of the Year. Imagine that Blake Griffin gets hurt, so he wasn't in the run, and James Harden coming off the bench. Steph Curry having ankle injuries all the time. Brandon Jennings was balling out. Brandon Jennings actually got hot before Steph got hot. You know what I mean? He was, he had that 55-point game against Steph.
I'll never forget that 55.
Lighting him up. But Tyreke Evans, out of everybody, end up with the Rookie of the Year. He had a crazy rookie season, but I'm not picking Tyreek Hill. Oh man, that's tough, man. Like I like Tyreek Hill, and I think he should still be in the league, and I just don't know what happened to him. You took my guy with DeMar DeRozan, because I thought you was gonna take Harden, and I was gonna be able to take DeMar right here. But now it's hard.
Would you take Harden right here?
In hindsight, yes. But if I'm thinking the day of the draft, from what I seen from Harden and what I seen from Tyreek in college,
I probably would still. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. That makes sense.
but I do have hindsight for this hypothetical.
You
So
do.
at the number 4 pick, and let's look what I'll be adding Harden to. All right. Let's see who his point guard was. You remember Francisco Garcia?
Of course I do.
Good 3-and-D guy. They had Bobby Jackson still.
Bobby Jack was still there?
Bobby Jackson was still there. But they had Kevin Martin.
Okay, I remember that. I remember this Kings team.
Yeah, Rashawn McCants, Brad Miller, Will Solomon. Dang. Jason
Will
Thompson.
Solomon was still there, the point guard?
Yeah. He was a rookie the year before. So I think that starting lineup, I know they were starting Brad Miller, and I think this was when we were still playing too big. So Brad Miller and Jason Thompson may have been the starters then. So Brad Miller, they had Spencer Hawes too, so either he could have started too, but they had Brad Miller at the center, Jason Thompson at the power forward, Francisco Garcia was playing the 3.
Playing the 3.
Yep. And so James Harden would be my starting 2 guard, and my point guard would have been Kevin Martin would have still been my starting 2 guard.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have had an opportunity to probably James Harden would have been able to play some point guard earlier. I would have.
You was gonna start him?
Yeah, I mean, because I needed the scoring. Like, he didn't start in OKC because Kevin Durant was taking care of the scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but with this, I need the scoring. So I think I would have been starting Harden at the 1, Kevin Martin at the 2, Francisco Garcia at the 3. Unless I would bring Francisco off the bench and I start Harden at the 2 and Kevin Martin at the 3 and find another point guard. But yeah, nonetheless, I'm taking James Harden number 4 for the Kings.
Yeah.
And since the T-Wolves got pick number 5 and 6, I'll let you pick 5 and 6. And then I'm going at number 7 with the Warriors.
Okay. Whew, that 5 and 6. This is probably it sucks because Rubio is still in the league, so we can't just crap on him. Johnny Flynn had a great career at Syracuse. So I get, but my God, that's that. Like, they were 5 and 6, and they picked 2 point guards.
2 point guards.
2 point guards. Oh,
and not even a big point guard and a small point guard. Were they like different? They took both 2 small point guards.
2 small point guards. I just don't. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, I guess they were thinking Rubio, because he was coming from Spain. He was overseas. So I guess they was thinking, okay, Johnny Flynn is the guy now. Rubio is the guy of the future, maybe. But I mean,
what they was thinking is, we got a pick to waste, and we need a point guard, and we think Rubio can be it. But just in case he can't handle the NBA, we'll take Flynn. And Flynn was built, even though he was small, he was built like Ty Lawson, like a truck. And he was a dunker too. So I guess they felt like, well, we know Flynn go transition. So if Rubio don't, then we can just go with Flynn. It was kind of like the same thing that the Redskins did when they took RG3 and was like, hey, we think we might have lightning in the bottle, but just in case he don't, we'll take Kirk Cousins in the 4th round.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it seemed like they was thinking.
That's crazy. To me, that's crazy. I mean, it was crazy even remembering that, because even at that time, I wasn't sure. I mean, I saw what Steph Curry had done at Davidson, but it always that mid-major school, will it translate?
Wait.
Wait, what?
Wait. Oh, never mind. Oh.
Okay. What you thought happened?
For some reason, I thought Steph Curry was still on the board, and I took Harden.
Oh, no. I forgot. He was going number 1. So Steph is gone.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
For my first pick, and like you said, I was looking and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to pick a guy who is not in this top 14 currently right now.
Okay. This ought to be good. Hold on, let me see. Make sure I ain't missing nobody. I mean,
Um,
you could go with Tyreek.
I could go with Tyreek, but looking at
you
yeah,
overlooking somebody. You overlooking
okay,
somebody.
I am.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you
Okay,
overlooking somebody.
okay. Let me look at this
Yeah.
Minnesota roster again real quick.
Yeah, you overlooking somebody.
So I'm going to take a guy who is currently in the league right now playing.
Okay.
With the first Minnesota pick, I'm going to take the NBA champion point guard Drew Holiday.
There you go. That's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's a good pick. If you want a point guard and Steph is already gone,
why not take
the next thing?
Dude that turned into one of the best defensive point guards, can run a team, can do a lot. Let me see what roster I'm adding him to. Man, this is
what they was working with.
Was Corey Brewer was still there.
Oh.
Corey Brewer was there. Al Jefferson was still there. Al Jefferson and Kevin Love was still there.
Oh yeah. That's a good roster.
That's a good roster.
So they messed the opportunity up to have something in Minnesota because Flynn and Rubio couldn't get him nothing really. Well, Rubio wasn't bad. Rubio wasn't
bad. He eventually turned into the guy. You know what? This is not a bad roster as I'm looking at it at all.
Yeah, they had Big Al.
They had
I don't know why they got rid of Big Al.
Me either. He was their guy. Let me see how many he averaged the year before. He was, oh my God, Big Al numbers was crazy. Yeah. 23 and 11 that year.
Yeah.
He was 23 and 11. And I get, okay, I'm looking at the roster and Rashad McCants done been a part of everybody's roster. Yeah. He was on this roster. They must have traded for him because he was on, who was it? He was on the Clippers for a little while.
Yeah.
Let's see. Rodney Carney, I think he came out of Memphis.
Yep.
Sheldon Williams after the failed experiment in Atlanta.
Yep.
Corey Brewer, he was still young. He was coming off them championships in Florida. Sebastian Telfair was there. Randy Foy was there. Mike Miller was there. This was not a bad roster.
Yeah. But they just don't know how to pick point guards. But they had they took a chance on. No, they didn't draft Telfair. Who drafted Telfair?
Portland drafted Telfair.
Portland. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Portland drafted Telfair, and I guess they knew that he wasn't that guy. I mean, he was still young. He was only 23 this year. So, but I mean, maybe they were holding out hope, but obviously not, because they picked 2 point guards and none of them name was Steph and none of them name was Drew Holiday. I guess maybe they were looking at possibly Tyreek Evans falling to them and they just went with whatever was left. But I'm gonna pick Drew for this first one.
That's a good pick.
For the second one, I don't know.
If you got Big Al at center and K Love at power forward, and then you got Holiday at the 1, 2 and 3.
I gotta look at a wing.
It's wide open. I mean, why not take Tyreek Evans?
That is true. That's the pick. That is the pick. So if that would have changed the course of Timberwolves basketball with a 1-2 punch of Tyreek and Drew. Any of those wings like Rodney Carney, young wings, anybody who can play 3 and D.
Yeah.
With Kevin Love and Big Al. Yeah, the pick has to be Tyreek Evans.
So that's that. So right now we got Steph going number 1 to the Clippers. We got Blake going number 2 to the Grizzlies. We got DeMar DeRozan going number 3 to OKC Thunder. We got the Kings taking who did I take with the Kings again?
You took James Harden with the Kings.
James Harden, yeah.
You took it, with Kevin Martin.
Okay, yeah. James Harden going to the Kings, and then the T-Wolves taking at number 5 and 6, Drew Holiday and Tyreek Evans. All right, so now still on the board from the people that was in the lottery is Terrence Williams, Brandon Jennings, Tyler Hansborough, Gerald Henderson. I mean, do I even have to mention Jordan Hill and Earl Clark and Ricky Rubio and Johnny Flynn and Hashim Thabit? How like
Those guys.
imagine that. Imagine like we redrafting the lottery and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 guys that shouldn't even been in the first round that went in the lottery.
Yo, I'm looking at this, and I don't know if he's going to end up in one of our picks, but Taj Gibson was in this draft.
Yes, yeah, he was. He was. But let me go ahead and go number 7. This
Okay,
gonna be
okay.
interesting.
Ooh, right. I see somebody I just didn't. I forgot was in this draft. A couple of people. Go ahead though. I'm gonna let you go.
So Monte Ellis is in Golden State.
Yes.
Right now, and you know he was a high school pick, and he was a young guy. And I remember when that We Believe team with Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, and Baron Davis, and all those dudes, Matt Barnes. Monte Ellis was coming off the bench, and he was kind of like, you know how Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum was running with Portland, and they had drafted the young guy that they start now. What's his name? He pretty much Anthony Simons, right? That was kind of like the same progression that Monte Ellis had, because he wasn't ready throughout the beginning of the season, but by the time the playoffs came, he started opening it up, right?
Yeah, he started to see it.
Right. So that he opened up enough for them to get rid of Baron Davis and keep Monte Ellis and keep him. So he's there with Big Al Harrington, Steven Jackson is still there, Corey Maggette, Anthony Morrow, Ronnie Turoff, CJ Watson. I remember I used to play with this team on 2K a lot, and I used to get loose with Kalina Azubuike. Yeah, he had actually got really good, and I don't know, he just disappeared. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't either.
So I like this team.
OKC.
Yeah, I don't know what he ended up at, but he ended up out of the league. But
yeah.
I'm looking at it. They had Jamal Crawford. I don't know. I only remember him playing for them, but
I don't either.
So I don't know what's up with that. But however, I don't like small point guards. You know I don't. But the best, even though it don't fit with Monte Ellis, but Steph didn't fit with Monte Ellis, and they still drafted him. I'm going to have to take Brandon Jennings at number 7.
Okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at it. Especially, I'm looking at the roster now. Why not?
Yeah. I mean,
honestly, why not?
My other option, somebody that I really liked at Wake Forest, was Jeff Teague. And we didn't get to see Brandon Jennings in college because he went and played. What did he play? Overseas. He went and played overseas after high school. So I could have went either way. You know, I had more trust in Jeff Teague. I like Jeff Teague coming out of college, man. He used to light Carolina up. So I could have seen myself taking him, but I'm comfortable with Brandon Jennings.
That's not a bad pick. Especially considering everything. That is not a bad pick at all.
Oh, I still got this thing up. All right, so now you on the clock at number 8 with the Knicks. They took Jordan Hill. I know they wish they had that pick back. And then I'm right behind you at number 9 with the Raptors. So where you going with the Knicks?
I'm looking at this Knicks roster, and it's confusing because it's like a lot of people. So that tells me they looking at this roster.
Is it the Isaiah Thomas roster?
This might be the Isaiah Thomas roster. Let me look.
Because
D'Antoni was there. They only won 32 games that year. They finished 5th. But let me read off some of these names. See, Jamal Crawford was on this roster too. This must be the year that they traded him. Wilson Chandler's on this roster.
I like
Yeah,
Wilson
this had to
Chandler.
be the year that they traded because Big Al Harrington is on this roster too. Yeah, so it had to be in a trade between them and Golden State during this time. But either way it goes, the notable names: Eddie Curry is there, Q Rich is there, Zebo's there, David Lee is there, Gallinari is there, Nate Robinson is there. Let's see.
I remember that year. I remember that year.
I thought Wilson Chandler was the prototypical 3-and-D dude.
I liked him, man, a whole lot.
Yeah. Just looking at this roster, Eddie Curry's still young. He's 26. This is telling me Zebo's 27 in 08. So, Chris Duhon is there. Larry Hughes is there at 30. This team is it has some pieces, but I don't see the direction. Gallo, how old is Gallo during this time? He's 20, so he's young, coming from Italy. At the 3/4 because he was playing a lot of 3 back then. That being said, I'm probably what I don't see is consistency at the point guard position.
With that soup sandwich you just named as a roster, it don't really none of it makes sense, man. So I think at this point it's best talent available.
Yeah, BPA. Yeah. But I would probably that is exactly what it was. This roster is just I don't even know. I don't know what this is. But I would probably go thinking back at that time. I would probably go point guard because this was thought to be this 09 draft was thought to be the if you wanted a point guard, this is the time that you do it. And I would go with Jeff Teague, but rather than go with Jeff Teague, I would get a name who was making some noise during that time at point guard for the North Carolina Tar Heels. And I'm going to go Ty Lawson.
Ty Lawson in New York. Okay.
I'm going to go Ty Lawson.
All right, I'm on the clock with the Raptors. And the only piece they got is Chris Bosh. And I'm trying to keep him in Toronto. So I got to, everybody that's there, there's no number 2 really to pair with him. So since he's a power forward, I'm going to try to find a wing, preferably not a small point guard. So I'm going to see if I can find somebody that can help him out. It's kind of tough. I might surprise you with this pick though.
Okay.
Man. Yo, this is crazy.
It really gets around this time for this particular draft.
Yeah. So it's a guy that I like, but and I liked him because he sent Duke home packing in the tournament.
You can always like somebody who sent Duke home.
Of course, that's right. Okay. And he went off in the tournament, man. And his name is Eric Maynor from VCU.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm not saying I'm picking him. I'm just telling you the 3 names I'm thinking of right now. I could get him and see if he can get some chemistry with Chris Bosh. Maybe they do some high screening role, some Stockton Malone type stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or I could go Terrence Williams, even though he was just an athlete that dunk on you and not, not like a shooter or nothing like that. Could go there. Or I could go all the way down and grab Taj Gibson.
I'm not mad at that Taj Gibson pick. Gosh.
Yeah. But I like my big guards and I like my athletes. And I think I can fix them all. And
me too. I think I could have I think I could have made Terrence Williams a 3-and-D perennial all defensive guy.
Yeah, I'm taking Terrence Williams from Louisville.
Not bad.
Pairing him with Chris Bosh.
Man, that's good pairing. That is a good pairing. So I'm on the clock now. Who am I on the clock with? The Bucks.
Yeah.
Brandon Jennings is already gone. Everybody around this time is already gone, or either you don't want them. So, looking at this, let me look at this Bucks roster. Okay, key pieces. This was a 24-year-old Bogut, which they were still holding out hope that number one draft pick turned into what, and he was good. He was good. At this particular time, couldn't stay healthy still, but who else they had? Richard Jefferson was still on this roster. I didn't even remember him playing for them.
He probably didn't.
He probably didn't. That's what I'm saying.
Because I don't remember it either.
I don't remember that. I don't remember Jefferson in a Bucks uniform. But who I do remember is 29-year-old Michael Redd.
Oh yeah.
Who was getting 20 points a game, 20-point a game score at this time. Richard Jefferson did play for them. He was 28. He averaged 19 that year. Wow. So yeah, I was thinking, and I was leaning towards another wing, and I still might go this route. But considering the fact that Richard Jefferson, he was 28, but he was averaging 19. He started every single game for them. Why do I not remember that?
They wasn't on TV.
That's true. This is the Bucks. So fun fact, Tyronn Lue was still on this roster at 31. Let's see who else. Damon Jones was on this roster. Austin Crochet was on it. Crochet was on this roster. Luke Mbamute. Charlie V was on this roster. So they had some nice pieces. So I'm going to go with something that could potentially be what people thought might have been a project. But considering that Michael Redd is up in age, so you're going to lose that shooting. I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to grab another wing that really was kind of a big. And I'm going to go Austin Day with this pick. The 6'10" dude out of Gonzaga, could shoot the ball early. Real thin, so we would have definitely had to get in that weight room and do some, get some bulk on him if we could. But I like his shooting. I like the fact that he's a 6'10" guy that can play the 3 or the 4. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Austin Day with this roster. They had Luke Ridnour and Ramon Sessions at the point guard. And while those names don't jump off at you as franchise pieces, maybe, just maybe, I think 1, 2, about 5 years down the road, they get some guy by the name of Giannis. And then I'm gonna go Austin Day.
All right. I don't like that pick. But with the Nets, number 11, they had Vince Carter, they had Brook Lopez, they had Stromile Swift. Those are notable names. Yeah, yep. That name Taj Gibson is still in my head. I could take him, but then what would I do with Brook and Stromile? So I'm gonna go with Patty Mills at number 11.
Okay. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Like at this point, as long as you ain't picking Jordan Hill, then you can't do too much wrong at this particular point.
All right, so we got 3 picks left. You're on the clock with the Hornets, and then I'm going with Indiana Pacers, and then you ending it with the Suns. Let me run some names by you. That sound familiar. Wes Matthews is still available.
He is.
Roderick Bobois. from
I remember Roddy
France.
Bobois.
Yeah,
I remember Bobois.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought he was gonna be the next, whatever,
He
you
was
know.
good. He was good. I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
He was good. Wes Matthews, Roger Barbara, who's this guy? Jeremy Pargo was decent for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you like AJ Price. He was good at college, but he didn't
That
do
was
much at
Texas.
Indiana. Yeah,
No,
he was at
UConn.
Yep. One of those New York type guards. Patrick Beverly is still there.
Pat Bev was in this.
Yep.
Yo, man, this draft had some pieces, dude.
Damari Curl.
Okay, that's my dog. Junkyard dog.
Taj Gibson. Danny Green. Jody Meeks. Marcus Thornton.
Marcus Thornton had a long career.
Yeah.
Longer than expected career.
Darren Collison. Chase Budinger. DeJuan Blair. Eric Maynor. And Wayne Ellington. And Tyler Hearnsborough. Oh, and Jeff Teague. Yeah. Maybe I should have got Jeff Teague instead of Patty Mills. But if he's still available, I'm probably gonna take Jeff Teague with the Pacers. Go ahead though.
Okay. This roster is, I'm trying to remember because it's the Hornets, but is it the,
they needed everything.
Yeah, they did. Was it was this the New Orleans Hornets at this time? Was this was this the Hornets? I'm trying to remember.
Jordan owned the team, so Jordan got it as the Bobcats.
Yeah, he did,
and he had it for a couple of years because he drafted Emeka Okafor. That was his first pick. And I wanted him to pick Ben Gordon that year. He picked Emeka. So it was the Bobcats for a while. Right? Nah, Chris Paul
was gone.
Yeah, he was gone. Because they went to New Orleans. Oh man, I don't even remember how that went down.
Me neither. Not now. It's crazy that
I don't. No. They were the Hornets. Baron Davis was there. They had Ricky Davis. They had Eddie Robinson.
Okay, so they had made
David Wesley, Bobby Fields, and they had made the playoffs, and nobody was at the home game, and it was like, this is it, man. So they moved the team, so they didn't have a team, and then Bob Johnson got an expansion team and named it the Bobcats. So yeah, they had already left and turned into New Orleans before the Bobcats came.
Okay.
Yeah.
With this team, if Chris Paul is already gone, it's easy to say point guard.
Yeah, I'm going Jeff Teague.
You gotta go Jeff Teague. Who else?
Yeah, they went.
Gotta go Jeff Teague.
Jordan went with a Duke player and Gerald Henderson, man. Oh my goodness.
Which was crazy. What are you doing? What are you doing, Mike?
I don't know what he was thinking.
What are you doing? Like Gerald Henderson, who was a freak athlete, I will say.
He was a freak athlete, but that was it.
Yeah, that was it. And that's pretty much where it stops. But
so you going Jeff Teague at number 12 with the Hornets?
I'm going Jeff Teague at 12.
All right. And I'm going Taj Gibson at 13.
You ain't going Tyler Hansborough?
No, not at all. I'll wait to the second round.
Oh yeah, that's exactly where he belongs.
Yeah, I get him later. You know what I mean?
All right, so if you went, let's see, I'm gonna go with the Suns. Wes Matthews still on the board, ain't he?
Yep. James Johnson still there.
James Johnson still on the board. Pat Bev on the board. We glance at this roster real quick. Was this old Steve Nash? Yep, this was old Steve Nash. this team was on the verge of contending. Because this one, Shaq went over there for a year. Grant Hill and Shaq, 36 years old.
over there wasting them people time like that.
Over there collecting checks. But yeah, so I'm gonna go because they don't really have Leandro Barbosa was over there, but I'm still gonna go Wes Matthews as a young up and coming shooter. You could always use shooting, and that might have been something that would have got that old team over the hump because they were looking to move pieces after this year anyway. So I'm gonna go Wes Matthews.
All right, I think we did good, but let's see who was in the lottery, who didn't get drafted back to the lottery. So, first and foremost, I think Hasheem Thabeet did not get drafted in the lottery.
Jeez.
Ricky Rubio did not get drafted in the lottery. Johnny Flynn did not get drafted in the lottery. Jordan Hill did not get drafted in the lottery. Gerald Henderson, Tyler Hansborough, and Earl Clark. That is half of the lottery picks that we didn't even bother to touch. 7 guys out of 14.
7 out of 14. And arguably those guys, a lot of those guys would not have gotten touched with the 16 other picks in the first round.
Out of those 7 guys, only Rubio and Hansborough and Gerald Henderson lasted more than their first contract. Flynn was gone. Hill lasted a little bit long. He ended up at the Lakers for a little while.
Yeah, I remember that. And then when Kobe got hurt, they were celebrating that one win, and he was not too happy about it.
Yeah, but Earl Clark didn't last. Terrence Williams didn't last. Flynn didn't last. Hasheem Thabeet sure didn't last. Man, that's sad.
This was a top hit. So sad. I mean, this is a draft that, of course, to be remembered for the guys that are still playing right now, the Stephs, the DeMar DeRozans, those got Harden. But man, it was some misses in the lottery. It was some hits. Like the Warriors, hands down, a hit. I even think OKC with Harden was a hit. Right, these are rigged people. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But that was the 2009 draft, redrafting. The man down style. Me and Zoe did it. I think I did better than Zoe, to be honest with you.
You did all right. You did all right.
Hey, I was able to get Harden to the Kings. I was able to get
that's the one that I was looking at. But I'm comfortable with the DeRozan. But Harden to the Kings might have been. He would have had the Houston Rockets' freedom with Kevin Martin as his backcourt mate.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking that might have made some noise.
The best thing about the draft that I like is you wasn't scared to shake it up and go DeMar DeRozan to OKC at number 3.
Yeah, man.
That was the best part of the draft, man.
Mm-hmm.
That was real dope.
Like, give DeMar DeRozan his flowers, man. That dude is a hooper, man.
Yeah, he is. He is. Yeah, hey, you know him and Romeo was real good friends.
Master P, Romeo?
Yeah. Cause they
That's
they
right. At USC.
Yeah, they was AAU teammates, and DeMar DeRozan told USC he would come if you give Romeo a scholarship. So that's how Romeo got to USC, not because he was good enough, but because DeMar DeRozan was like, "I'll come if you give him a scholarship." So they gave him a scholarship, but DeMar DeRozan stayed 1 year. So guess what happened to his scholarship after DeMar DeRozan got drafted?
Yeah, man, we have no use for you anymore. We have no use for you anymore.
That nigga was in the Tyler Perry movie the next year.
Doing ICDC commercials. Yo, thank you.
Man, you snatched that dude's scholarship, man. Hey, he tried though, man. He tried.
He tried. He went. He can say that he got a scholarship to USC.
That's crazy, man. But all right, man, that's it, man. I think if y'all want to see stuff like this more often, man, give us ideas or give us a draft you want us to redo. You know, and then we'll do it if y'all liked it, man. But if not, then you know we'll probably do another one anyway because we liked it ourselves. So
we did.
Yeah. But all right, man. Catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.